Okay, I welcome you all to the Dravidian Career Podcast, Episode 4. As many requested, we have a female speaker today, Monica Rapolu. We are not going to have the podcast in Tamil because we have a Telugu Amma here. So it's going to be in English. I know Monica from like 8 years back, I think. We both started in Poland a PhD, and we know from that time Monica is from Hyderabad. She did her PhD. She did her master's in physics in University of Hyderabad, and moved to France and did an internship there, I think so. And then she also jumped to Germany and did some PhD time there, I guess. And then came to Poland, did her PhD there, and she went to Netherlands now. She's currently in a company called ASML, which is a very well-known, unique company which makes machineries for the semiconductor industries. And I'm not so sure anyone will know. Monica will tell about this company more. First of all, I'd like to welcome Monica. Monica, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Brian, for this opportunity, and I'm glad that I could be some sort of help for people to have some clarity about the STEM fields. So, as Praveen had mentioned earlier, I'm working in ASML. So, it's a company which actually makes machines for chips. So, every chip you use currently, even to watch this video right now, um, are made by one of the machines made from ASML. So, it's a semiconductor company where they use a lithography technique to manufacture the chips.
Monica, first of all, let's start with your career progress. So, from your school, are you like a very studious person, or like just an average person? And why do you choose to be in STEM, not than in IT or like a arts field? Uh, Go on. You can start with whatever you feel like.
Sure. So regarding my schooling, I used to be top five in school, so I was very studious and very focused in studies. I think this is what mostly all the traditional Telugu families they wish their kids to be. So I was also forced into that stream. So my dad, like others, was also motivated seeing the other kids being in IIT, and he pushed me to do the coaching in the plus 11 and plus 12 for IIT and AAEEE.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow I lost interest because I joined a bit later
Mm-hmm.
after the college had started. So I was
Mm-hmm.
lagged by 4 months. So it was difficult for me to pick up, especially physics and chemistry, because since I was in a state board, so a lot of people in the class were from CBSE board and they had much more command over that. But I had more advantage in the mathematics background. So, but somehow I started to feel like, from being a topper to being an average student during my plus 11 and plus 12, because I was in the topmost section and you compete with most of the toppers, then you're no more topper anymore. You're probably thrown out somewhere in between. So this made me lose my confidence a bit. But eventually, during the end of the year, the marks for the plus 11 and plus 12 were nice. So it gave me a bit of confidence. But somehow I lost interest in IIT and IEEE, maybe because of too much of pressure from my parents and the society. I
I
just
think.
have like a negative thinking about that in general.
But in general, IIT, IIM is just a starter push, right? Regardless of anything,
Exactly.
you work with IIT, JEE graduate now, so it doesn't matter if you start with IIT or
Yeah,
not.
this is what I realized. To give you a big, quick background, also like some of my friends who have did their PhDs elsewhere, like for example, some of my friends did their PhD in Netherlands and from Max Planck in Germany, one of the famous institutes, and also some of them are from USA in the top universities. But eventually, all of us ended up being in a company or an industry, working in the same role.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's mostly the awareness. Most of us
Mm-hmm.
have to recognize. It doesn't matter like
Exactly.
which university you come from. Of course, it has a leverage, but otherness and connections are the most important key for the communication. So I think as a person, You need to focus like in making up the connection. Like for example, some of your cousins are abroad and you wish to go abroad. Like you need to be in contact with them and ask them like how is the life there, what kind of opportunities they have, and ask them to connect with similar people, or like try to reach out. Now you have a lot of other platforms like LinkedIn. Many times they have like a career portals, or like the career seminars where you can just attend, or like in YouTube, many people also give you some different aspects of career. So most of like others, I imagined my career also like in engineering. So I was trained by many people around me that my life is going to be like becoming an engineer, mostly computer science engineer. But then it was my dad who actually saw a poster of this integrated masters in science, and he was very attracted to with that poster, and he came back and he applied on behalf of me.
Okay.
And I just went to the exam and I sat and I've written and I gave an interview. I wasn't interested in the scores nor pursuing physics at that point of time, but I had a point. I had a point where I had to take a decision if I had to join engineering or continue the integrated masters, because most of the integrated master courses starts in June, and whereas the engineering courses starts in September or October. So I had already opportunity to see how it was, and I already have joined. So there I realized actually point number one is like when you take STEM courses, mostly you will have a privilege to be in central universities or some state universities, or like ICER, NICER, like a lot of good institutes. Good institutes where you have like a very big campus, unlike some private engineering colleges which are just limited to like an apartment style buildings, where my high school was also similar to that. And you don't have like a freedom to grow as a person, or like even improve your personality. You're very limited with the people around you, with the circle around you. But when you join in central universities or like ICER or IITs or NITs for a STEM course, you have much more leverage to use all of the opportunities around you. And you have a different exposure, because I think at the time you will have the opportunity to interact with the PhD students, because like in a university, unlike engineering colleges, you will have like a PhD students, master students, and also like a postdocs, and like also professors of a very good quality who did their PhD abroad.
Yes, exactly.
You have more, I think, more
Exposures.
exposure and enriching experience. Also, like in most of the central university, you also have like abroad, like foreign study programs. You can also meet foreigners, so it improves overall exposure and your personality, and also probably you might develop interest in different things. So when you choose a STEM subjects, mostly like an integrated masters, like I joined in physics, but I was interested in mathematics in the beginning. But at the end of third year, you can always have an opportunity to choose your interest. You can even go into economics or like political science, because I think when you're doing your high school, you're still not sure what you want to pursue in life.
Exactly.
Your interest might also change during the period of time. But if you join in engineering, you cannot quit in between. So you are stuck to that for whole life. It's very difficult to change your stream. And with STEM, you have the leverage to actually move to different subjects. I know a case of a friend of mine who pursued mathematics in the beginning, got interested in civil services. So in the third year, he switched his subjects to economics and political science, and eventually he became an IFS officer. Because in Central University, you have like a really good library and resources to get yourself trained during the period of time, course of your time. So you will have ample of opportunities to see, like either it could be doing a PhD, or either it could be getting a job in a company, or either it could be like preparing for some civil services or government examinations. The doors are open. But when you are doing engineering, your doors are almost very narrowed down, which is like working for Wipro or Infosys, or like TCS, or only some small pool of companies.
But technically, you are in an engineering company, right?
Yes, technically I'm in an engineering company, but the core is physics, right? And the core is science, because the machine is developed based on the physics, and also like they use a lot of chemistry principles. So the heart of it is engineering, of course, but they do use and they do require people from STEM field as well.
Yes. I'm trying to bring the thing like physics and engineering can coexist. engineering
Exactly.
people, yeah, people doesn't know the application by, so they think that engineering has a more application oriented, but actually
Yeah,
STEM is the basic. You need to lay the big the foundation strong to
exactly.
be excelling in the engineering field as well, but it can work
And
in
you
the
want to
rest.
add one more point here. My dad always used to say, so when I was taking admission for this integrated masters, he told me, see, listen, even if you finish your integrated masters and you feel like you wanted to do engineering and you're not an engineering graduate, you can always do an MTech and get an engineering degree at the end. You can even do
Yeah.
your MTech like in IITs or NITs or any other university, whichever you wish for. And you can have the privilege of getting an engineering degree, but the vice versa is not possible. So you always have an opportunity not to regret in your life. You can try it out, and if you want, you can also move, yeah, away from it, or like be part with that.
That's true. That's true. But okay, let's go to the college time. So you apply to University of Hyderabad. So it's a central
Yeah.
university. So how the application process works? Like you need to apply. I think you fill the application, but you have exams, and do
Yeah,
you need?
so most of the central universities, I think the application is out in February or
Mm-hmm.
March,
Mm-hmm.
like in the beginning of the year. Most of the central universities, each of the central universities have a different exam.
Mm-hmm.
So it's called as an entrance examination. So you can give your entrance examination and followed by an interview, which is mandatory for most of them.
Okay.
So this
Okay.
is one way of getting admissions.
So one more question. So what do they ask in this interview? Because it's a high school students, and what they trying to ask these people?
So mostly, like you have a pool of people, they need to shortlist from this pool of
Yeah.
people. So what they're going to test here is how is your basic knowledge
Mm-hmm.
in the STEM subjects.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, how is your physics knowledge, or how is your chemistry knowledge? It doesn't matter actually. You don't need to answer all of the questions, but the approach, they would see your approach and like your way of thinking, leaning towards that, like do you really understand the things,
Mm-hmm.
or like you're just like mugging up the things. So it's
Okay.
really not, it's just like a normal interaction. It's not a very rigorous interview process for the selection. uh, Maybe now it's changed, I'm not
Mhm.
aware of it, but mostly it's just like a very friendly formal interactions, asking about your knowledge and subjects, for example, asking about thermodynamics laws if you're from physics, and like asking you to give an example in the real life situation about Newton's law,
Mhm.
or like asking you about some equations regarding integrations, or like how it coexist with physics, some things like on a
Mhm.
very basic line. But mostly the interview baselines is based on the STEM subjects.
Okay, this is interesting, but I never heard asking people, especially the high school kids for the interview. But okay, new
Yeah,
information
but
to
this
me.
is something which is, I think, not very common. But for central universities, you do have entrance examination, and also there's
Yeah,
like
because central universities, I remember that they have entrances. I'm not sure all the central universities have one exam or each university has
Mhm.
their own exam, because I think it changed into one exam for all central universities right now. But maybe the exam is there for sure. This is what I know, remember. Okay, so let's go to the next question. So why physics, not chemistry, not biology, not economics, not some other
Uh,
subjects?
it's a very good question, because I think physics is not the field which normally people choose. In my case, I wanted to do mathematics. I was very fascinated with mathematics, and I
Mm-hmm.
really liked it. But my dad forced me to pursue physics, because his idea was like, if you take physics, you can switch to engineering. Like as I said, like you can do your MTech in engineering.
Ah.
So, but with mathematics, it's not possible. So he forced me to pursue physics. And as I mentioned you earlier, like after 3 years, if you still have like liking towards some other subject, you can always switch based on your CGPA and availability.
Mm-hmm.
There is a high probability that you can switch to your field of liking.
Mm-hmm.
So hence, I was okay with the idea that I can take physics now. Maybe after 3 years, I can convince my dad to switch to mathematics. But then I realized actually during this course of time, this mathematics in masters is not like what we imagine, like the integrations or
Mm-hmm.
calculus or algorithms. It's mostly like solving solving a theory and
Mhm.
deriving the steps for like some theorems and other things. So which made me lose interest in mathematics. Like the picture which I saw of mathematics was different. So
Mhm.
hence I started to like physics more and I stayed with that.
Okay. But so yeah, my next question is like in physics, in University of Hyderabad, how do you think the lab works? Like, in engineering colleges, in top engineering colleges, you have the labs, very nice labs.
Mm-hmm.
But if you see in the medium level of engineering college, they mostly try to get like teach the subject and then get good marks and that's it. How do you
Mm-hmm.
see your life in University of Hyderabad? Like it was like more into academic oriented, political oriented. How do you see the university by yourself? Like how is it?
Uh, so I can still remember those days, the
Mm-hmm.
first impressions of the day. So Mm, I studied in Sri Chaitanya Narayana, which are the most common colleges where you study for your intermediate. So, and also I did my schooling in Basham, where it was just an apartment, and
Mm-hmm.
when you just go out, it's just the traffic. So both my intermediate and schooling was just no playground, nothing. My school
Mm-hmm.
was from 8 to 8. Because they also make you do tuitions and things. Also, my intermediate was also from 8 to 8, so
Oh my
I didn't
God.
have any sports activity or to understand how the world is, how the people are. It's very limited. It's all the things I know is like I have to get good marks and good grades and get into IIT or some engineering college was just the goal.
Okay.
Nothing about life is is taught there. But when I came to university, like I was very hesitant, but my dad pushed me to go for that mission. And at the time, the hostel was mandatory because
Okay.
sometimes the campus is very big, so to go from the main campus from the main campus to the classes where we have is like already few kilometers, so we have like buses and stuff, so they recommended to stay in the hostel. So this was my first experience in the hostel as well.
And
So
especially you are
it was
from Hyderabad. So you were in
exactly,
Hyderabad
yeah.
and you stayed in a hostel in Hyderabad.
Yeah, they recommended too because
Okay,
this
nice.
my dad
Okay.
also told me at the time you can save time in traveling and you can be more productive and you can meet friends and have a
Yeah.
different life. So I was like, okay, fine, I can just give it a try because in my mind I was thinking like I'll join in engineering anyway. So for me it was just like, okay, I'm just giving a trial for this.
Mm-hmm.
So especially as I mentioned earlier, like this universities, central universities have very big campus. So it was like in time of June, it was raining and it was lush green,
Mm-hmm.
and I could see rabbits running around and deers running around. So it's a really big green campus,
Mm-hmm.
unlike what I had in my schooling, right? So already I started to feel very positive, and the people who joined were from different parts of different
India.
states because it's a central university. So I have people from North India and like Northeast. They have some special reservation, and also from South India from different parts. So it's the first time I'm seeing like a amalgamation of like different cultures, which I
Mm-hmm.
really liked. And also the professors were like doing their PhD abroad, like have very good experience, and the way they deliver the lectures, their command of the language, vocabulary, everything is another level.
Mm-hmm.
And also the competition like you have in the class because people are from different places and like they all compete for this the entrance examination and interview will come, right? So people are also like very hardworking and also intelligent, so
Mm-hmm.
it gave me a different exposure of things. And also within the campus you have a lot of political associations, like they have like SFI, ASA. I think till then you're not aware with the politics, but then you also have student politics
Mm-hmm.
in place, like and people try to also like educate you or like try to pull you into that, like if they see that like you could be good for that. So and also like you have a lot of sports. I was participating actively in some chess competitions, so you have like state level competitions between the central universities, and we
Mm-hmm.
used to have like dance,
Yeah, dance.
cultural programs, and like debate competitions, a lot of seminars, some lectures even from Nobel laureates.
One
Something or the
moment.
other thing. Yeah,
One
yeah.
moment. One moment. So there is a big shout out that Monica has a YouTube channel, Life is Beautiful, where she dances in random places, and she's a very good Bharatanatyam dancer. Yeah, continue. So I will put it in the description that so people will see you as well. No, you don't want to do that. I'm giving you free publicity. People will be like, okay. Oh, come on. Go on. Tell more about the university.
So it was like a paradise, I would say, because there were peacocks just from my hostel room. Every day morning, I used to have the sound of the peacocks, and like there was like small waterfalls and dams across, and also a lot of mountains. So it was like a heaven, I would say, because you also have a lot of freedom because you don't have restrictions as well.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from a place where you have a lot of restrictions, so you are open. You can go to movie at any time, come back at any time. You have much more freedom in life as well. So I think you develop a lot more your personality
Mm-hmm.
and based on your circle and things you pick up on and things you get interested in. You can join in anything, like for example, you're interested in some some club with dance or some club with chess or some other activity, some other sports activity. So I think you develop your personality like over the period of 5 years. And I think like since mine was an integrated program, it was always like, oh, I have 5 years, so you're more relaxed. Even in your second year, you still think like, oh, I still have more time. And the way of working, how to pass the exams, and how to study a couple of days before the exam. So I think you get more used to and more comfortable with all the things. So I think indeed it was like for me a paradise. uh, but yeah, and during this period of time, as I mentioned you, like one way to get into the universities is an entrance examination and interview.
Mm-hmm.
But there are also like a couple of other ways. Like
Mm-hmm.
there is a scholarship called as a KVPY scholarship,
Mm-hmm.
where you need to score some percentage of marks in this entrance examination, especially exclusively for STEM. And there
Mm-hmm.
is also like an inspired scholarship. So if you are having some percentage merit, like which is top 5%
Mm-hmm.
among the state boards or the CBSE boards, then you can pick up the STEM subject and you will be receiving like a lump sum amount of 60,000
Mm-hmm.
rupees per annum, which is quite
That's
a lot.
a lot of
So
money.
20,000 is for the project, and like 5,000 per month is the expenses which is a scholarship which you receive. So this is based on your 10 marks, mostly mathematics, physics, and chemistry marks, or
Mm-hmm.
biology in case if you take that. So you need to get at least like 80, 90. It depends. Like, for example, if you're from Bihar, so the state board is different. So then you have less cut down marks. But in South Indian states, it's mostly above 80 or
Yeah,
above
the
90,
competition
depending
is
on the
high.
state boards. Yeah, competition is high. But this is only exclusively promoted by the Department of Science and Technology.
Mm-hmm.
That if you take this, if you take instead of engineering STEM subject, then only you get the scholarship. So if you're going to join an engineering college with this
You don't get
percentage,
it.
you don't get it. So this is only to encourage the students to pursue STEM fields. But you have to understand, I think, since we all are in high school, we don't understand the thin line of difference between the engineering and the science. Mostly, engineering is application of the basic sciences.
Yes,
So
exactly.
first comes the basic sciences, and then comes engineering, which they make money or apply the technology. But it's much more joy for me to work with the basic sciences, because I think you develop your principles, you develop your research, you see the first things first, and then you apply the technology later or make it a commercial on a big scale later, which is engineering. So for me, it's more fascinating to be the beginner, to be the trendsetter rather than to be on the receiving end or using the technology. So it comes with mostly I think the interest which you develop.
Yeah.
Also, it's about the society. I think the way the society is tuned now is that basic sciences are treated as low. Like if you tell to someone like, hey, I'm doing BSc, and
Yeah.
if you tell to
True.
someone that I'm doing a BTech, then the way they look at you is very, very different. Oh, you're doing BSc, that means like maybe you didn't get a good marks or you're not a bright student. But now the scenario is changing, especially with the government trying to support the STEM fields and research. And research is something which brings more economy to the country, right? And technology. So I think it's a very good opportunity right now for people to get more awareness of the STEM fields. And also,
Yeah.
I want to also emphasize this point: like if you get this inspired scholarship, if you try to right now, since you're a high school student, try to maintain your percentage marks and get the scholarship for bachelor's and master's. You can also get in your master's if you're doing BSc elsewhere and MSc elsewhere. You can
Mm-hmm.
also get at 2 different stages
Mm-hmm.
the scholarship, and then you can actually get the inspired PhD scholarship as well,
Yeah.
which is also you need to have like a minimum percentage or CGPA requirement fulfilled. If you get these two, then you can actually get a DSC inspired faculty, which is like, a 5 years of funding provided from Department of Science and Technology, where you can actually be a faculty in IIT or CSIR labs or, any other universities for 5 years, and you get a salary which is equivalent to an assistant professor in IIT. So, and especially for girls, they have much more women in science schemes. So they have scholarships exclusively for women. So the government is trying to promote, and even for the women who are trying to come back after pregnancy or after a break, they also have, for example, some of the parents who are watching, they want to go back to science. They also have like more scholarships and more programs for people who are going back to science after taking the break or having kids or something. So the government is providing a lot of opportunities for us to encourage the STEM fields, and fortunately, the STEM is not looked down upon like earlier, which is also really nice for us. And also, like for example, I have a lot of friends in the current company which I'm working now. Most of them did STEM fields. Like some of them did in QSAT, which is the Cochin University of Science and Technology, integrated masters in optics. And I also wanted to take this opportunity to also maybe promote optics because I think this is one of the fields. So electronics was the past scope or technology. Right now, optics is a new technology or new future. So they like right now everything you can imagine is with optics. Drive you're using now.
Now I'm going to ask you a very curious question. So explain optics to a high school, not even high school kid, to a 5-year-old, because not many knows. Who was seeing this video is going to be either like a 15-year-old or someone who is 60-year-old or 50-year-old. So better put it in a very layman term or like in an application-oriented term so that they will understand it very well.
Yeah. So optics is a broad field. So lasers, optics, they all are one umbrella. So to explain in simple terms, like you take set of mirrors, like, for example, on a sunny day, you try to take a lens and try to focus on a paper and you see it's burned, right? So it's just the principle of optics of focusing. So you take couple of mirrors, couple of lenses and try to create wonders around them. So this is basically optics. And when you try to, the bulbs which we use right now are like, have lights in all directions, right? So laser is something which you try to focus in a coherent, like just like
right, linearly.
Or like having a concentrated amount of photons. So then the energy is more, and then you can also do wonders with that. Like for example, the eye surgeries you have, or you have much more applications. Like the company I'm working now is based on the laser technology, like to use lasers as a core to print the chips. So right now, optics is everywhere. Even the Wi-Fi you're using now, the broadband communication, you use lasers, optical fibers for that. So you create wonders with the lasers and mirrors and lenses. This is just basically, in simple terms, optics. So if you're fascinated about, like, how can I see, why is it burned? Like, when I'm focusing, these all are the physics behind the optics. So yeah, this is how I can explain.
Yeah, so it's interesting that people never see these things I mean, in India, we do not have this technology yet, but it's coming up. But you're working in a very niche field. Like you're lucky enough to be in Europe and then move to Netherlands and working in one of the unique company. I don't think any other company exists like this, like doing machineries for chip makers, for example, like
for the high-end technology. So the company is monopoly for one main reason that, like, if you want it, as you remember, a while ago we used to have like a limited data, right? Like 8 GB data, 2 GB data.
Yes.
Right now you have 32 GB, 64 GB, and like it keep on increasing. So you can click infinite number of pictures, store infinite data on your drive. This is all possible because of the chips able to store a lot of information with that, which comes with optics and many other fields involved. It's like, interdisciplinary.
I think people now got it. Like when you connected with the size of the phone memory, I think it's more
Exactly.
visible everywhere. I mean, most of the millennials, even the Gen Zs, early Gen Zs, knows how the size of the phone. I mean, memory of the phone is very important. Like you used double one double
Exactly.
zero, it was like I think 256 KB, I think, and now
Yeah.
you have iPhones which are like. I think 500, 600 GB or even 1 TB, I think, in the phone. So
Yeah,
it,
exactly.
it changed tremendously in last one, I think, one or
So you
two
can
decades.
see in how in a small chip like you can do wonders, right? So this company is mostly famous for making like the smallest chip, which can have much more processing information and like storage space. And, to explain in the layman terms. So this
Ye-
is the only company which can use like the high-end technology to produce this kind of chips.
Okay.
They
But let's go to the academic part. So even if
Yeah.
you finished your master degree in India and you have scholarship, why you didn't pursue a PhD in, or you didn't go to any work? Rather, you went to abroad to pursue more a PhD in abroad rather than why you didn't do it in India?
It's a good question. So I was applying for jobs actually when I was in the last year of masters. So there used to be some companies who used to come for the career phase. I
Mm-hmm.
was going for them, but eventually, my father always used to emphasize that you have to do something unique so that you can be in the market, like
Mm-hmm.
because you need to have some speciality among yourself to sustain in the long term. Like for
Mm-hmm.
example, not many people do PhD, so you always have opportunity when people are asking for PhD. Not many people are coming there for competition, right? But
Mm-hmm.
also, it's for me personally, I think it's a space where you can be still a student and still receive funding or like the money or a salary or scholarship, whatever you can call it as, and still extend the student phase for a certain period of time and be more relaxed, because my idea was not to join in a company and like start working and being a robot, or like
Mm-hmm.
because you again have a 9 to 5 job and all. I wanted to have more space for myself to learn something, grow myself, and also have things to do. And also, I know, like if you do PhD, the things, the person you become is very different
Mm-hmm.
quality in terms of like you'll have a lot of struggles during your PhD, in terms of your emotions, how you deal with people, and even like the subject
Yeah.
knowledge and how you deal with the professor. So you'll have like the most difficult time during this time where you shape yourself, right? So you'll become a person much more stronger. And I think this is one thing which I wanted to pursue PhD.
You will become more independent in a
You'll
way.
become more independent, and also like I think especially right now in the era we are in, I think it's very important to be financially independent,
Mm,
and also like
true.
to be able to have some qualities where we can sustain in the market, because if you're doing a software, like if you're
Mm-hmm.
doing IT, there are so many people who can code even at class 3 or class 4. Now even a third class or fourth class people started to code. So you doing a BTech in computer science need to compete with the upcoming people who are even learning programming in their junior
Late
high school.
30s.
Exactly. So you need to probably choose a field where probably you can be able to get some new skill sets. So for me, I thought PhD as this way where I can be able to pursue this different skill set. So yeah. And
So,
I think this is the only opportunity, because if you pursue your integrated masters, the job opportunities you have is not very ample. This we
mm-hmm.
need to admit, compared to the engineering
Engineering.
engineering things, because not everything is brighter when you
Mm-hmm.
pursue STEM. So either you can go into fields like, for example, in some companies, but the salary will not be really high. Most of
Mm-hmm.
my friends actually were uh, being teachers at like Sri Chaitanya or Narayana, teaching IIT, or
Mm-hmm.
for FITZI Academy, like
Yeah.
telling
Mm-hmm.
the high school students for AIEEE or IIT, where
Mm-hmm.
they get actually around 1 lakh to 2 lakh
That's
rupees
a
per
lot of
month.
salary.
It's a lot of salary. So this is one brighter side of pursuing STEM, which is
Mm-hmm.
also maybe comparable to a software engineer who is
Mm-hmm.
graduated from BTech, like so but still the opportunities are less. You can apply for government jobs because mostly you pursue your STEM field in central universities or ICERs where you have more access to the resources and get the knowledge to get trained for this government job opportunities. But otherwise, to take in a company or to get into a company is a little bit challenging. Not many people, especially in India, are interested to take. So you need to actually, before joining in STEM, you need to already make up your mind what you want to do next. Otherwise, you might be stuck or feeling regret that why did I choose this? Like why I didn't choose an engineering and just end up in a job.
So I have a question now. So did you thought about PhD long before you started high school, or like you decided in between your college days, like a bachelor degree or like end of your master degree? Or...
I think it's mostly you look around the people. Most of the times, it is that your seniors will do PhD, or your professors will recommend you to do a PhD. So it's just that you follow the line, or that okay, this is the easiest thing to do. I mean, because it's just like by default, what do you do after the bachelor's, master's? So it's just like by default, right? So like that. So when you're in an integrated program, what you do next is a PhD. It's like by default was in mind for a lot of people. But you need to be prepared for the next 4 years or 5 years or 6 years to put that hard work, effort, and also be ready to get frustrated, and also to face the challenges and write papers and still study for the exams and pass. So you need to or make your plan B, which is going into some college or institutions and becoming a lecturer there. So yeah, faculty there. But you need to have a concrete plan, because if you wanted to do a PhD, you either need to qualify the national examinations like IIT or JEE. I mean the GATE examination, GATE or CSIR, or you need to get an Inspired scholarship, or you need to pass the entrance examination for the university. So it's not an easy route anyway. You need to again put your efforts to prepare for the competitive exams, sustain in the competition, pass interviews. So it's again another path. It's similar what you do in the beginning.
So I have one more interesting question that people would be like to ask. So how did you jump from Hyderabad to France, the next step in your career, which is a major step, I think? How did you even jump? How do you know that you can apply there and they contacted you? How did you contact them? How did you really got this opportunity? This story would be really interesting for people.
I was not thinking about Europe actually. So when I was in last year of my integrated, I already started to give prepare to do a PhD abroad in US, because I think US most of the
first in the mind,
yeah, it gets in the mind. So as like anyone, my mind was also similar. So I prepared for GATE and TOEFL and gave my examination. But somehow, my parents were like, yeah, you can just, you anyway have Inspired scholarship to do PhD in India. So why not you do in India? So at the time, I was trying to maybe pursue a PhD in India with my scholarship, and then at that point of time, girl joined in the project during that period of time. I was a research scholar at the time, and then she was applying for Europe, and she told me about how Europe is very different from US, that you can travel to different countries, you have a different exposure, you can finish your PhD in 3 or 4 years of time, and you get a full funding, and you're actually an employee, and you pay taxes, so it's considered as an employment. She showed her seniors pictures of her seniors in their labs, and how about their travels and explaining the stories of their seniors. So she was from Manipal Institute of Technology from Karnataka, and she showed me how her seniors were doing PhD abroad and how happy they were, and how they get the opportunities later on in their life to get settled. So since I already was applying for US at the time, I already had my statement of purpose and CV prepared. So I just applied along with her because we both were in the same optics field. So I just yeah, just sent applications, not expecting anything.
Okay, so how did you find it? Like there is a position there. Like you went
So
through
you
the
just type in Google, like for
Mm,
example, I did my master projects in something, so you can type with that title, or like
mm,
for example, you can type PhD in physics, like in France or in Germany, and you get the job opportunities. Then you need to click every link, or you have some website right now, like
your access.
in nature.com.
Yeah, nature jobs.
Yeah, naturejobs.com. You have applications over there, and there are like right now a different portal for PhD in
Your
Europe,
access. Your access.
Texas, and also like other channel is like asking your seniors, because they might be very much updated about like different labs and different positions, and
Mm-hmm.
reaching out to them. So yeah, that's how I ended up actually just I started to just like the process of interviews and like giving interviews. So with nothing intention of joining, I was just giving interviews, and then I think I started to enjoy the process of interviews, and somehow decided to make a big step to move.
Okay, so in France, it was a position, if I remember your story, that it was something
It
like
was
they want to
a scientific researcher.
a scientific researcher, so they want to observe you first before introducing you to as a PhD candidate, right? They
Yeah.
wanted a.
So mostly this every European country has different rules of getting a PhD degree or enrolling into a PhD degree. So in France, mostly you need to get an employment contract. So this
Mm-hmm.
was a CNRS lab, which is like a DST in India, Department of
Mm-hmm.
Science and
Yeah,
Technology in
yeah,
India.
yeah.
So
Similar.
they provide you with a job offer, which is a scientific position, like a
Mm-hmm.
scientific researcher for like 3 or 4 years. And during this period of time, you can enroll in a university at any point. You can even enroll in the last year of your PhD,
Mm-hmm.
last year of your contract,
And then
and
you
get you
become.
graduated. But the main idea, at least in France, is like you need to get an employment contract,
Mm-hmm.
or like a, let's say it's a scholarship, in like if you're comparing with the Indian
Yeah, yeah,
PhD.
yeah.
So you need to get an employment contract, and then you can enroll PhD in any universities, or university associated with that particular lab, at any point of time. So this is mostly the way. And my interview was I had 3 rounds of interview,
Okay.
uh, very rigorous interview, I would say, because they are hiring someone from India, right? So they
Mm-hmm.
look at your CGPA marks in bachelor's and masters, and also probably in high school, and they
Mm-hmm.
look at what kind of projects you did. And I was doing project every summer,
Mm-hmm.
which helped me because I was doing a project in ISO Pune, like in
Mm-hmm.
different labs. So where I had access to some exclusive lasers, which were
Mm-hmm.
not there in most part of India or in the world. So I had more leverage to have like some exclusive experience. And
Mm-hmm.
also during my masters, I published a paper, so I had more points there. So either if you wanted to do a PhD. I think this, since they're high school students, I think this is
You are
something
very
for
studious.
graduates.
You have a paper during your master degree.
Yeah, see, there are two ways where you can get a PhD degree. Either you have to be academically excellent,
Mm-hmm.
getting a high CGPA, or the other way is like you can do multiple projects to get experience in a field
Yes, yes.
and publish a paper. This is another shortcut way where you can get it. Or like sometimes it's very gray area, like the eligibility
No,
criteria to
it's
get
mostly
PhD.
depends on the
Yeah,
lab
exactly.
requirements.
Lab
So, so,
requirements.
so yeah. So in Strasbourg, you did something, right? What is it about? The field.
So I was working in vibrational coherence spectroscopy. I think for high school kids,
Can you
it's
repeat it?
essential.
Because say it slow. People cannot catch it fast.
Okay, it's vibrational coherence spectroscopy.
Okay.
So just to put in a layman terms, it's just a spectroscopy where we were trying to observe, like, let's say when the light falls onto our eye,
Mm-hmm.
some chemistry happens there, right? So
Yes.
some chemical transformation will happen there, some
Mm-hmm.
bonds will change. So with lasers and with the optics, like with a lot of mirrors, lens, we were
Mm-hmm.
trying to see actually when actually light falls onto your eyes, what exactly happens. So
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to understand, so that in future we can, for example, do someone had lost their eye or lost their vision, you can replace the
Yeah, an
eye.
artificial one.
Yeah, artificial one. So if you understand the process, you can reproduce it and
Yeah,
replace it.
this
So
is the point of basic science. You understand the
exactly.
very basic thing, and you can address the issue. So
Exactly.
so that's what the Monica is saying. Like she's working in physics, but she's trying to address a problem which is biological, like which is very interesting, right? So then
Exactly.
then you're jumping to Germany for after. I think how you worked for like a year in France, right?
I worked for a year and then I moved to actually Poland.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, so for my PhD, because the professor was doing in a similar area as mine.
Mm-hmm.
So my PhD work was also, to put in layman terms, it's mostly like when you go into any eye hospital, you see this machine, right? Especially when you go with your grandparents, they
Yeah.
have like cataract disease or a glaucoma
Yes.
or
Yes. Yes.
different kind of diseases, right? They put their eye in this instrument and they try to see their nerves or like their
Yes. Exactly.
vascular structure, right? So my professor was involved in making that instrument. So it was in 2006. He was collaborating with a person from MIT in USA with a Japanese scientist,
Mm-hmm.
and they were the pioneers of this instrument, which is the revolution in optics and also revolution in the eye field.
Mm-hmm.
That like now because of this, a lot of people could be able to get know the diseases earlier and could be able to make the surgery in place.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working on that instrument, but it is a home built instrument, so you need to make in the lab and try to improve the sensitivity and resolution so that you need to improve the instrument much more
Mm-hmm.
on a higher level to be able to you used in the clinical images, so that the ophthalmologist or like the doctor can do surgeries better, so they can be having a better visibility of the eye. So it's exciting actually when you want to pursue basic sciences. It's really exciting because you're actually addressing the current challenges in the society.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're indirectly helping a group of old people. It's also doing a service to the society. So there are different ways to you can look at it, of course.
You
So
need a different angle.
in a different angle. Yeah.
You get.
So, but you need to always understand: are you a kind of a person who has a lot of patience? Because I think patience is the key for doing a PhD. I think at every point of time, you might feel like you want to give up. It's getting difficult. You're not going anywhere. You're not progressing. But patience, hard work, these two are the key. Are very crucial, and also like the curiosity to learn because your friends might be earning much more because they'll have like already you're in a PhD third year or fourth year. They might be
Mm-hmm.
already in a company for 3 or 4 years. They might be having more salary than you. So when you compare in a society, you will be of course lower in terms of financial.
You feel bad.
Yeah. So you need to be able to see for yourself that do you see the brighter end? Do you want to take all this risk? Do you want to really and do you really want to enjoy this period of time? Because without if you
With
feel it as a
without patience.
difficult thing, yeah, if you feel it is a difficult thing, then you need to this is not a right place for you. If you don't want to study or like if you don't have curiosity, then probably this is not the right thing for you, because you can't force yourself into something which you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
And probably, for example, if you do a PhD, then you might do a postdoc, which is like a loop. Then you
Mm-hmm.
might become a professor. So if you don't like it, then it becomes suffocating.
Mm-hmm.
So you
But
need to realize, like, are you a curious person? Are you really having patience? Are you really want to do hard work? This also will come at different time points, because you're just a high school student now. Maybe you don't understand these words, you don't understand this all complexity, but over the period of time, you will get into that line and like probably and yeah, see yourself there. Even if you do engineering, you can still get into research. There is a lot of opportunities to do PhD in engineering as well.
mm-hmm.
And PhD in engineering takes much less time comparatively. So you can even get into the STEM field somehow during that phase as well. So uh, I would like to emphasize that when you're making an application after your high school, just not only apply to IIT, JEE, or like the NCET, or like the other entrance examination for engineering, but also apply to central universities and also ICER and also NICER, and also try to focus to get much like better marks in your high school, so that like you'll have you could be able to probably get a direct admission through
Mm-hmm.
your merit in science field. So don't focus your life like you're thinking in one direction that engineering is a life. and this is what your this is what you want to get into in life. Just apply, and on the way you'll figure out, like, once you apply and once you go for interview, you meet much more people there in the interview who will have different opinion. You'll hear and you'll have much more exposure. You'll see the university, you'll see for it yourself. If you're not applying, you'll not know even what existed there on the other side. So just try to apply to whatever possible things you can, especially for the parents, because I think when you're in high school, you have so many things to take care of. Like, you need to prepare for engineering entrance examination, also for, like, the high school examination. So parents can also take this opportunity to apply for kids. Like, for example, they can see when the central university admission is coming out. They can also fill application for them, and they can also send by post application. Now everything is online. They can also maybe help the kids also to support there. For example, I didn't apply for my the admission in integrated. My father have applied, so I think mostly thanks to him that I'm here right now. But I think parents also, since kids are very much stressed with so many things on their plate, especially during this time, because they always say this is a point where your future is decided, where you're going to, how your life will be. Parents can also help in getting information from different people or applying on behalf of them.
Yeah, so that's an interesting give reflection from your story. So, but I have one more question regarding the life in academia. How do you recommend? Do you recommend PhD or not? And being a woman and traveling alone all the way in Europe, how do you feel? And perks of academia, and what do you think is not so very good in academia? So you can give the whole part, like good and the bad side of academia, and how do you feel being alone in Europe, especially being a woman, safety wise, you can tell to the people.
Sure. It's a very interesting journey. So in PhD, not to be denied, I think even Praveen also will agree. We saw our friends throughout their journeys of PhDs, that there will be many points of time where you will be really frustrated, where you will be really depressed, where you will have a lot of challenges. Probably you are pressurized writing papers or comparing with other people. Life is not a smooth road during the PhD.
Yes, exactly.
Really bumps, and sometimes this emotional toll can take place. So this is like unavoidable. Maybe in company also it's there. I would not deny that in company you will escape from these things, but it's, I think on the intensity level it's much less. On a PhD, it's because if you're in an industry or in a company, it's not your project, right? Like, but in a PhD, it's your PhD, it's your project. You need to write papers, you need to finish your PhD. The professor has nothing to do with, like, I mean, he would help you, he would support you, but at the end it's your project. Yes. But whereas if you're working in a company, it's a company's project, it's a group effort, it's a group work. But in PhD, unfortunately, people will help you. Some postdocs will help you, lab mates will help you, but at the end of the day, your responsibility is much more higher than the others. So since you have this overwhelming amount of responsibilities and, like, the pressure on yourself, it is challenging, but this will make you really strong in life as a person, because you will learn to also during this period of time you will see different phases of friendship, different phases of life, like, how life looks at you, how people looks at you, how competitive within the lab is. So you will learn ample number of things. For me, I would say the things which excited me in PhD first, I think giving a presentation in a conference. For example, I went to US to give a presentation in front of 300 people, like in the experts. So for me, it was very satisfying and enriching experience that, like, you're traveling to some other country or even to some other city to present your work. In a company, it's not like your work, it's a teamwork, or, like, you will be contributing, but it's not seen as such. But here, you can come up with your own ideas. So, for example, I was in a project, and for me, I had some ideas. So I went to Korea, like I mean, I had an opportunity to get the funding and go to Korea and implement my idea. So it was like you can try out many things because, you know, PhD is a phase of trial and error because you're discovering something which didn't exist before. So you always have to try it out, right? So it's like, you know, you're cooking something which the recipe didn't exist before. So you need to make a couple of trials. So it's something like that. So you always can use your creativity. You can always use your ideas. You can always come up. Nowadays things are moving towards interdisciplinary. So for example, you can bring chemistry also into your subject, or like, you know, mathematics also, like, you know, data analysis or something. So you have opportunity to grow in every direction actually. So you can go and present your work, which excited me. Because of this, you'll travel to different places and meet different people, and make new friendships and new bonding and know about different cultures, which also really excited me. And like, for example, you will learn a lot of things from your professor because, you know, he's experienced, but you learn to become more and more independent over the period of time. So first and second year, yeah, you might get guidance, but in third and fourth year, you should be in a position to be able to guide some master students or bachelor students. So you will try to become more independent, like, you know, take more responsibilities and become more responsible at the end. And also, like, you will have much more clarity in terms of your personality, like, you know, because during this phase, since you will face a lot of hardships, you will also see people in a different way because, you know, not every people are there with you when you're in sad times, right? When you're happy, everyone is around you, want to be around with you. So you will also see life at different times. When you're in difficult situation, you will form like very deep friendships and, like, you know, deeper experiences, and especially you will also be friends with some other PhD students, right? So you will also have like a long-term friendships during this period of time. And also you will see life in different ways, because also during this phase you will also see like, hey, am I interested to do more of this, or am I exhausted doing the same thing and I wanted to do something different? So do you want to be in academia, or do you want to go to industry? You will also realize it during your last year that if this is for you or not. So you can also again take a stand if you want to be there, or like, you know, if you want to quit. So you will grow in terms of knowledge very deep, because, you know, when you're doing research, you need to understand the basic thing of it. So sometimes when you're in high school, you don't have to understand. You can just, like, you know, a plus b whole square is a square plus b square plus 2ab. You don't even need to understand. You just need to write this in exam and you can get marks. But when you're doing a PhD, you need to actually understand why is it that way? Why can only be this way? Why cannot be other ways? And how is it useful? So you need to understand like the background of it. So you will be, even like the things what you studied in high school, you'll see them in a different angle when you're doing a PhD, like in physics, for example, or in chemistry, for example. So you'll be like, oh, I didn't even understand this subject before. So like you'll come to your point where you'll try to even apply this probably in your real life, understand people more, or like, you know, understand things more deeper, or ask for more questions, or to have a clarity of mind, or clarity on yourself, what you want. So I think the quality of yourself, how you become after a PhD, cannot be compared with anything else, in my personal opinion. People have different experience, but this is my personal opinion. And the tough times you face through will make you a stronger person. These are the advantages. And if you ask me, I wouldn't say disadvantages, but I would just address this as, like, you know, the challenges maybe. And the challenges are like, as I mentioned you earlier, the first thing is that you need to have patience and hardworking nature. But I think most of us, like, you know, because you studied already for 23 years of your life, right? Because you'll do your PhD after your master's, which is like 22, 23. So for 23 years I studied, and again I have to study for 4 or 5 years. Oh my God, like if you have this mindset and start, it becomes difficult. But if you think like, hey, this is like any other job, maybe this is like a company job, I'll try to do my best. Maybe sometimes, so PhD is something where, you know, most of my weekends were not for myself. You cannot close your laptop or work and forget about after 5. It's not like a 9 to 5 job. Even after 5, it requires you to think. For example, I'm writing a paper to publish. Then I need to write like an introduction, which actually need to have a reference from many other articles. So I need to read like 50 or 100 articles to write just the introduction part. I need to see if it existed before. So I need to work a lot. So which will not just fit into the schedule of my 9 to 5 hours. And also sometimes weekends, your mind will be like, oh my God, I still have to finish this. I have a comment from a reviewer to address. So yours is not a 9 to 5 job, and you're financially probably you're not well paid off unless you have like a very good scholarships to support you, which most of the case it's not. So you will not have a lot of money, you'll just have just enough money, maybe just enough to support, to just give you a rough estimation. Like if you're in Europe, you might earn like 1,50,000 or 1,80,000, but the expenses in Europe is high. So
But
at
you
the
are
end,
young. But you're young, right? At the time when you
yeah,
do this.
you're young, but maybe some people have responsibilities to give
Yeah,
in
that's
home
true.
or
That's
something.
true.
So you
Not
need to
everyone.
understand how is your financial stability, because this might take a lot of toll on you. But for example, some of my friends have like Marie Curie scholarship where you can even get double the amount than a normal PhD student. But this is not very common. Only a very few
Yeah, that's true.
scholarships, and selection is crucial. So this is the other thing. And for example, you might do your best. Sometimes you'll not get the results because someone have already implemented it, or like the thing what you are trying to do might not work out. So these kind of things might frustrate you, leading to a point where your efforts are seen to be waste. So but you need to have hope, you need to have patience, you need to have I think more peace of mind for yourself to deal with all of these things, which you learn on the way. You don't have to have it in the first place, but the PhD time period will teach you all of this.
Yeah, it's more like you have a big picture than thinking about the
Exactly,
short-term goals. So
exactly. It's like a long-term goal.
yes, yeah, but you can see that anyone who did the PhD is not like searching for like suffering for a job or something. They will end up finding something good at
Yes.
any cost. So, for
So,
example, yeah,
mhm.
more
Yeah, yeah.
for example, Monica was applying for a lot of jobs, if I remember, end of her PhD, but she ended up in a very good, unique company. Like it's a I wouldn't say monopoly, but it's like very unique company. And then like not everywhere you get this knowledge where the company gives her. So it was very interesting that even though she struggled to find her for many positions, she's overqualified, but she eventually got into a place there, which is a unique place where she can acquire a ample of knowledge she can never get in any place, because it's a cutting edge technology. And one, even if she wants to switch back to India or a different country, anyone who sees her will be like she's an excellent candidate to work, or something like that, to collaborate also, because she has the knowledge from a PhD, and then she worked in a cutting edge technology, which you cannot get in any normal corporate job. But right now, especially, I want to mention that Monica is a travel junkie. So in last 8 years, 2 years she is right now in Netherlands, but 6 years I know her before. It's very rare to see her in Poland. She always be in somewhere in Korea, China, Vietnam. You name the country, Monica been there. So she went and traveled all alone. She was safe. She came back, and she has hundreds of thousands of stories to say. Okay, not everyone has this opportunity. Her lab was in a good place to fund her to go to new different conferences, but you always will find some funding to fly to some conference, to meet new people. Monica has more experience with that than me. I can say she is presented more than, I think, 15, 20 conferences, I think. And she has a different level of experiences. But in a single word that I could say, single line, I would say Monica was an exotic person in real life itself. So she's adventurous. She never been afraid of exploring things. Uh, and she's an excellent candidate to work with, collaborated with. So she's end up in a very good company and working in a very good lifestyle now in Netherlands, I would say. But yeah, but Monica, one more question. So how do you see yourself in next 10 years? So do you want to be in the same
You're
field?
asking this interview question.
Yeah, because I want to see your long-term approach. I mean, it's an interview question, but someone always have something to work on for 10 years. So
Exactly.
last three podcast, one told that he wants to be a professor. One told me that he wants to be in the policy makings, for example, in the WHO. One want to start a company. So what do you think? What do you see yourself in 10 years? Especially you are being a very smart person. You don't need to be start from the IIT tag. You can start from a average university. You end up in a top company working for it's like a Google kind of company. It's a very technology oriented company.
Yeah. Fortunately, I think I didn't know after my PhD where I want to go into, like if I want to go into academia or industry. Then I went for a boot camp where it was like saying that, oh, it's a bridge between academia and industry. So I went there for almost a week where it was a very intensive time.
Mm-hmm.
There I discovered how actually an industry would look like and how demanding is it like from a day to day. Because if you're a PhD student, maybe in 1 month you will not do anything, but you can do the next 1 month and compensate for the things which you didn't do. You can take it slow. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to rush. You can take your own sweet time because things are not really pressured on you. Maybe now its scenario is changing, but mostly you can take your own pace time. But in industry, it's not like this. Every day you have something to deliver. Every day you have people depending on you because it's like a chain. If you're not delivering something, then the chain is broken. So people are dependent on you. You have responsibilities. It's different. So for me, I wasn't sure like this dynamic environment, like if I want to go into or not. But one thing I was very sure I didn't want to come continue in academia. Just even before joining a PhD, I always wanted to explore industry or do some real time big application things.
Mm-hmm.
So and I joined in ASML because I got also some other opportunities earlier, but I chose ASML especially because I heard from the people who were already working that it's a big company, so you can move within the departments. Like, for example, I can try something else. Like in the beginning year, I joined in a mechanical engineering or mechatronics, which I didn't have experience with, but you can learn that. But now
Mm-hmm.
I'm in industrialization engineer, so which is also not what I did with my PhD. So you can explore, like for example, if I wanted to grow in management roles, I can also grow in that role. So in a bigger company, you always have a scope of looking into growing yourself, and especially when you do your PhD and come out, you're very new to this company world and you don't know what are the opportunities, what are the job roles and responsibilities, so you will discover on the way. And I didn't wanted to make myself that hey, this is my life. I wanted to explore like I did with
Mm-hmm.
every other parts of my life. So I chose this particular company so that I have the flexibility to explore if I wanted to change elsewhere, if I get interest in elsewhere, like the same which I described, like after your third year of integrated masters, you can choose if you get an if you wanted to go back to economics, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
have that leverage. So in a bigger company, you always have the leverage. So right now, I'm still discovering myself where I'm
Yeah.
fitting into. Like
Just being just being curious is the
exactly.
part of the job, right? Like you always
Exactly.
exploring.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm still discovering where I want to, like,
Mm-hmm.
in the bigger companies, you can also work in the R&D sector as well. So if I wanted to just go back again to academia kind of a life, I can also go there. But I'm still in a discovery phase.
Mm-hmm.
And I also don't like myself to see like, hey, in 10 years, I want to be this because then for me, it's not a fun. Like, for example, I know
Okay.
already on the way that I want to become this and I become, for me, it's not a fun. I don't have that kind of end goal. I just wanted to see where life takes me. Like I don't have like a
Yeah,
specific.
it's a
I just
different
want to put my
approach.
efforts, but I don't want to fixate like, hey, I want to be in this country only, or I want to just do this job only. Like I want to become a software engineer only. Like I don't have that kind of things in my mind. I just want to go with the flow and take actions at least to go with the flow, and keep doors open because sometimes you think I want to also tell to a lot of high school kids one thing in life that you might think like, hey, I want to become a computer, a
Software.
software engineer. You might think, but in high school, you don't even know what actually a software engineering is.
Mm-hmm.
Then you will discover on the way you need to learn Python, you need to learn programming language, and there will be a lot of errors, and you might get frustrated. but your goal was to become a software engineer, and the world around you decided, or you decided yourself. But actually, when you reach there, maybe you're not happy. So I always feel in life like you can have an end goal, but you don't have to keep it like very specific and concrete, especially when you don't know. When you know, that's okay, but when you don't know, for example, most of the high school kids, I'm pretty sure they don't know. So I think it's just good to keep the doors open, because we are still discovering where our interest lies, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's better to talk to a lot of people, see different things. If you are right now listening this podcast, which Pravin is taking a lot of effort to educate the kids, it's already a good thing that you're thinking differently, right? Because you are looking into STEM field. So this is already a good indication that you want to try something different. So maybe you can look into all the different kind of doors, which also Pravin probably will share in his podcast, like,
No,
all the
yeah,
opportunities you'll get along, maybe.
I'm trying to
But
pick. I'm trying to pick from different fields. I'm randomly asking people for the podcast because one story
exactly.
cannot enough to inspire. I'm trying to
That's
pick
true.
from.
That's true.
So
That's
that's
true.
why that's why it's like I'm trying to pick from different fields. So they will understand that journey is almost the same, but how you see it is different. So mm, that's what I'm trying to educate. Everyone here came to Poland or came to Germany or Netherlands just because they knew few people or some website, someone helped them, some professor told them try this. So it never like that you just go by yourself. It's always like someone helped us to be here. It's not
Awareness is the biggest, I think, biggest,
the source of knowledge.
yeah, skill set you should acquire.
Yes,
Getting
exactly.
awareness and having a good communication is, I think these are the things which will take you to a different level than others.
So that's why I think we covered most of the part which the high school
But to
kid.
just give you a conclusion, if you're
Uh,
taking a STEM field, you will, it's not like you'll not end up in a job. You will still be able to become lecturer in like, Sri Chaitanya or some bachelor's college, or like in a degree college. You will earn money. That's not a problem. You will have your source of income. That's not a problem. It's only the problem is like how much you want to have the trade-off is the question, and how much risk you want to take in life, or how much you want to explore in life is a problem. But at the end, you don't want, you felt like you want to go back to engineering. There is always MTech in case if you pursue physics or chemistry, like, you can go to chemical engineering. So I always promote STEM field, because
so
even,
so the most important part, even though we like to promote the STEM, so it would be very interesting how much you spent for your master degree, integrated masters. I'm asking for the
yeah.
call.
So if you study in any central university or ISER or NISER, your fees is very, very bare minimum. So I was spending 1,500 per semester. So you have 2 semesters in a year. So it's 3,000 rupees per year is the college fees or university fees. And in central university, everyone who joined will receive 500 rupees per month. So you
You already
actually
paid
will
off.
be in surplus. You will actually be in surplus. And also in your masters, you will receive 1,000 per month from your third year. After third year, you'll receive 1,000 per month. And the hostel fees is also like in central universities, it's subsidized, right? Or like in ISER or NISER or like the state universities, it's subsidized. So even the mess fees was like 600 or 800 rupees per month, which actually, like if you have some reservation, you can get some scholarship, and also the university will also try to pay you those things. So it's nothing. Like if you do engineering in a private college, you need to probably pay 20 lakhs or 30
Yeah,
lakhs,
I mean for the AIMS, yeah, but engineering 20 lakhs, I'm not so
but at
sure.
least 10 to 20,000 is
Yeah,
the
now the
good,
prices
yeah.
are very high. I would say now I'm no from the engineering college from Chennai. They're costing 3 lakhs per year. Yeah, four,
Exactly.
12. It's almost 12 lakhs.
Yeah. And here you will spend not even 10% of it. So,
Not even I wouldn't say 10%, even it's like 5%,
yeah.
less than 5%.
Even if you do have a lavish life in terms of eating outside and all, you still will spend only 10%. So, for parents, it's a good point to be noted. that like the
Yes.
financial burden on the kid will be less, so that maybe the kids will have more opportunity to explore themselves.
And in France and in Poland, you didn't pay anything, right? They paid you back.
Yeah, no. For PhD, I want to tell you, in US you need to pay the fees, but still you will again get a scholarship by teaching the university students. In US, the PhD is a little bit different. You need to pass the examination, so they will have like after 1 year of coursework, they'll have an exam, which is like an IIT level exam. If you pass that exam, then only you can continue your PhD there. And average it takes 5 to 6 years in US for a
But
PhD.
yeah, in US it's quite complicated. You have to do the GRE exam or either
Exactly.
and then you also need to do TOEFL or IELTS, and then you have to write a statement of purpose. It's quite complicated to apply
It's
to
very, yeah,
US.
exactly.
But
It's
in
quite
Europe,
complicated. Sometimes you need to also do your masters, because sometimes your masters
yes.
courses are not recognized if you're choosing some subjects in PhD.
Yeah, so then, but when you compare to Europe, I don't think you need anything other than language requirement, maybe IELTS in some universities, but you just apply like a application to a job. Mostly it's
Exactly. Yeah.
just an interview, and then they cover you. I think some people even cover your flight cost from India to Europe. But
Exactly.
I don't think paying a flight cost would cost you more. I think 40,000, 50,000, and then
Mhm.
you get paid anyway for your living expense, and you get a
Mhm.
college dormitory, or they would also find some space for you in outside the universities,
Outside, yeah.
and you get paid by month, so your living cost is always covered, and you have something left which you can
Mhm.
always send home, or you can keep it by yourself for your personal expense.
Expenses, yeah. And I
And
also want to highlight one important point, which
Mhm.
my father always used to say, like he was he was against private universities or private colleges, because he thinks the quality of professors or the infrastructure there is not high. But
Mhm.
whereas if you are enrolled in a state university or a central university, even though the course is not very demanding, you will grow in different directions. You will have
Mhm.
ample opportunities, you'll have good exposure, you'll have good quality of professors, you'll have good communication, and you'll improve yourself. So since you are just in high school, I think it's very important that you can focus on getting, like if you're going into STEM field or even in the engineering field, into some government colleges, like like state universities or central
Mhm.
universities or ICERs or IITs or triple ITs or NITs. Try to get into these kind of institutes where you can actually develop your personality, like have more exposure, and also your cost of living will be less. You'll be having a lot of sponsorship in terms of scholarship, so the
Mhm.
financial burden on the parents also will be less. So the only thing you have to do right now is to concentrate to get more marks on your examinations, and also try to have more awareness. Right now you have ChatGPT. You can also ask, like, hey, what are the other options? Like, I want to pursue STEM field. What are the other university entrance examinations I have? When do I have? You can use also the leverage of the technology, since all these people are Gen Zs and they're always on Instagram or other social media platform. They can
Yeah,
take that
that's true.
advantage to get more exposure, and also they can get subscribed to this kind of YouTube channels where they give you more career options after your
Mhm.
high school, where you can go into. So you can also have like a different updated overview of the people as well. Uh, you can see a lot of people videos, like life at University of Hyderabad, or like life at NIT or ICER. A lot of people, students
Our
are giving the
life is
videos.
beautiful YouTube channel as well. Here you
Exactly,
can
it's my
see
YouTube
how
channel.
how Monica is enjoying the Europe along with her academic career and now industry career. So no, it's very different. You will become very individualistic and more financially independent. You know what to do in your life, and it's good to be a little bit far away from home, so you will know how hard it is being alone. And then
Yeah,
you
you will
will.
learn a lot to be independent. I think, like even when I was in Europe in the beginning, I was always doing trips with my friends, and I
Mhm.
was always like thinking happiness only comes with people around you.
Mhm.
Then, when I was going for conferences, I was forced to travel alone, present alone, be alone, because every time your friends won't be coming to all the conferences, right? Then I started to enjoy actually traveling alone, understanding more about yourself, and like like it's a very different experience where you cannot buy with anything, like the experience which you get to be independent. And I recommend all the girls to, irrespective of where life takes you, you always need to be financially independent, because
True.
I think otherwise, for example, your father will give you the expenses. He will always have
Control over
more
it.
command control over what kind of decision you want to take, or your husband. Like once you are financially independent, you will have thought process of your own, life
Mm-hmm.
of your own. So you don't let anyone to take control of your life. You don't give the driving seat to anyone else. You will be the one who will be driving it, and it gives more value to your life. And the way you enjoy your life is better, the way you take decision is much better. You are not taking in control of someone or some situations. So try to be as much as financially independent you can, irrespective of where you go in your life. Try to have it. It can be anything. You can even probably go into business, or you don't have to consider only STEM as your life, or for maybe some people are not interested in pursuing, but you always need to see where your interest is. For example, you're really good at talking to people, then maybe you can do some business. Nowadays, you have a lot of online platforms. You can sell. You can buy things in bulk and sell in online platforms. You can try to navigate your life somehow where you'll be financially independent, have
Mm-hmm.
a life of your own, or things of your own. Especially for girls, it's really important, because I think somehow down the line, especially in South India, I see this that you do your masters, you do your engineering, doesn't matter. Then you get married, you'll have kids, and then your life will be focused more on the kids, and you'll not do a job, and you will end up. Which I'm not saying is wrong, because of course it becomes a priority to take care of kids when you grow older. But I think then you will start losing the sense of life. That what is
Mm-hmm.
life? What are you contributions? Because in nowadays you have like vacuum cleaners, even dishwashers upcoming, all of these things. You'll not have much time, much things to do at home. Kids are going already at age of 2 or 3 to school, even to play school from 1 or 2 years old. So what you will do, like you will have sitting at home, you will not develop, you will not have any self development, you will not have anything of your own, you will not have any interest of your own. So you will start to lose the value of life. So always try to develop this kind of a mindset, especially for girls, like irrespective of wherever position of life I'm, I will try to be like financially independent, or try to have something of my own. It can be a small thing, even if you want to do something of your hobby as a big thing, as your business. Even if
Mm-hmm.
it's a small business, try to have something, some interest.
Yes, yes,
If,
true.
even if you want to do dance and you want to continue as a career, but you need to always try to be financially independent before getting on to bigger things in life, or bigger things in life. Because parents will always have thousands of opinions about your life and say what is good for you, but at the end you're the one who will be leading your life. You'll be leading by yourself, not with them. So you have to take the decisions, and once you're financially independent, you'll have more clarity, more wisdom, and more happiness to take decisions. So yeah, you'll do what is best for you, right? You'll not you'll not torture yourself. You don't have to do things for something else. Cultivate this mindset. This mindset is very, very important.
That was
Yeah,
a very
especially for
important,
a South Indian
not
girl,
just South Indian, all over the India, I would
although
say.
all over India, but yeah, it's very important. And don't lose all the efforts you did. Don't pour them into drain. Like once you do your high school, or bachelor's, just don't throw them into waste. Try to just continue, even if it's little. So yeah.
So, yeah, Monica, thank you so much. That was a important thing you said to the woman community here. So, uh, even though we can say it, but if a woman who is very established in her career say it, I think it will make more valuable than any men can say it. So, thank you so much, first of all, for being here and giving your journey on stories. It was a very motivating for many high school kids. Thank you so much. Thank you. I think I will meet you in some time in Netherlands. I'm thinking to come in a few
Sure,
months.
I'm waiting.
I'm coming to meet Sheila Aditya, so probably I will
Oh,
come
wow.
there.
Okay.
So I probably will come. So yes, thank you so much. With that, we can wind up our podcast. Thank you
So
so
good
much,
luck
everyone.
for all of you. All the very best. You don't have to get nervous about a lot of
College.
things. Just go with the flow. Try to take up things what comes on your way. Apply to everything possible. Who
Yes.
knows? Where life can take
May-
you.
Maybe you can need to say that how many applications you applied for PhD. I think you did a lot of things, right?
Oh yes, I was applying to whatever I saw was relevant. Probably I did like 100 applications or 150 applications.
Most
So
important decision because you won't get it in first 10 applications. It's minimum
exactly.
100. So
Exactly. And you guys actually in high school, sometimes if this is missed, then you will not get again. For example, an integrated course is 5 years and you can only apply after your high school. So this and only during those months, like maybe from January to March or something, or even before. So if you miss this, probably you will never get this opportunity again. So and you need to wait for one more year to get this. So please make yourself aware when are the application dates, way to apply, what are the universities, like for example, there is Hyderabad Central University, and there is also other central universities in other states like Bihar, Jharkhand, Karnataka, even in Kerala, ICER, NICER, and probably Praveen will put them all in the link,
mhm,
probably in this video or somewhere, like
mm,
where you can find all of these applications. And please do apply, so because you will miss the biggest opportunities in your life. If you miss this, then you will not probably end up
mhm.
getting your
Your
the
place.
yeah, exactly, place in life. So don't miss this. This is a very crucial moment. Try out, like, don't think about a lot of things now. Just apply. Sometimes yeah, the application fees is like 300 rupees. It might be a lot for some people, but this might give you doors opening to something brighter in your life. So
That's
this
true.
is a good investment, instead of like investing on mobile or some restaurants or something. This is a good investment. So keep your doors open. Don't make your mindset stick to one thing. Just keep your doors open and like keep open minded and apply at the right moment, because time is very important. If you miss this, then you will miss things upcoming. So and
Yeah,
all the best and good luck.
I cannot say more. I cannot just agree with Monica. She said everything she could possible. So listen to her. And being a woman, she did a lot of things to be here. So I can like agree with all her things what she's saying. So try out all the opportunities you could. You will end up in a very good place. So don't be hopeless. Just try. Just try again, try again. You will find something for sure. So that with that, thank you so much for watching the podcast and subscribe the channel. Maybe share with your friends or with the parents who is looking for looking after the kids who is applying for the college or being in the college. Anything, I think the whole story is for both the college students as well as for the high school kids. It applies to everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Monica. Thank you.
Thank you. One last tip for all the Gen Zs. As you have a lot of social media app, also download LinkedIn. Probably you will try to subscribe to whatever relevant scholarships for you. So maybe you will also like try to be already well educated and be aware of the things happening around you. So this will save you a lot of time,
Mhm.
yeah, in getting the information in place.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.